Hey, what's going on, everyone? We are talking Godfather of Harlem. This is season 4, episode 1, titled New Harlem. Bumpy plans to build a new club in Harlem, but must find a way to finance it without the heroin business. Elise testifies in the Malcolm X murder trial when 3 innocent men were accused. Stella's brokers a deal between Colombo and Chin. Lamont, I'm very, very excited to talk to you about this, sir. What did you think about this episode starting off season 4?
Enjoyed it. I thought this was a great way to set the groundwork for what's going to be happening. I think that they do an excellent job of being a period piece, kind of letting us know what it was like for African Americans back during that era when the drug game meant something different in that era versus what it means in now era. And I'm excited for where they're going to go with this season. And they brought back 2 of my favorite characters. I'm ready.
Who are your 2 favorite characters?
Stella
Okay.
and Bumpy.
Stella and Bumpy. I'm not mad at you. I can definitely like Bumpy. I enjoyed this too, Lamont. I really did. I am I'm eager to know how we got to this point, but because to be honest with you, got a little shocker for you. Okay, this is my, I guess, official introduction to this show. I haven't seen the first 3 seasons. I am going in only seeing season 4, episode 1. And the reason why I'm doing that is I honestly just did not have time to go and binge the first 3 seasons. I still plan on doing that once. Sorry, I had to cough. But yeah, I'm like, oh wow, they gave the recap of what happened at the end of season 3 or the first 3 seasons with Malcolm X being assassinated, and of course, I remember, we all know that from real life and the Spike Lee, Denzel Washington '92 movie, and it seemed like they did a pretty decent job of reimagining that scene, that horrific scene. But I'm definitely gonna go back and rewatch everything. The only thing I do remember from the tidbits that I did see from, I believe, the first season of Godfather of Harlem is Big Dick Buster, the guy that goes around and I don't even know how it slays the men that does bad deeds, and that's a horrible way to get punished. Also, his wife, Bumpy's wife, didn't she cheat on him in season 1? Am I mistaken? Okay, I remember that. I also remember a scene, I think it was either Malcolm, it may have been Bumpy, to where he was walking up to some building in season 1. It looked like he was by himself, and he did some move, some gesture, and then a bunch of men were on the roof, started looking down like, hey, we can snipe and take you out or something like that. That's all I remember. So, I mean, that's what I did see. And what I remember from season 1, and I enjoyed all that, man. But there's just so much movies, there's so much television. You can't consume it all, and you think this is gonna be good and that, and you just kind of miss some things. So that's kind of what happened with me with this show right here. So I don't necessarily mind you spoiling what happened in the past. It's my fault. But I see Malcolm X was assassinated. It's a year later. And I'm understanding that these 3 men here are innocent, or are they not innocent? And like, how does the confusion come up to where if they were innocent, they were accused of it? Like, I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts there, and if they executed that the right way, or is there something else kind of going on behind the scenes that I'm gonna find out?
I felt like they executed it properly. The reason why they put drama around it is because Bumpy's daughter, Elise, had feelings for Malcolm and became good friends with Malcolm and the wife, because the wife realized that she had feelings for Malcolm, and Malcolm just kind of took her under the wing like a little sister. And then because she got into the nation, she started dating the bald head guy, who Omar at one point in time hated Malcolm because Malcolm garnered so much notoriety because he was great with speaking that he almost became bigger than the nation. And so you had people in the nation plotting to deal with Malcolm, and you had Omar and a couple of the other guys plotting to deal with Malcolm. But eventually, Omar turned around because of Elise and her relationship with him. And then at the very end, there's always that rumor that this was set up by white guys who hated him. And in the end, these three guys, I don't think they had anything to do with it. Omar did have a gun. Omar at first was plotting to kill Malcolm, but then he did a 360. And so Elise is fighting not just for justice for Malcolm, but she's also fighting for justice for Omar. And if we're going to get justice for Malcolm, we want it to be the right justice.
Yeah.
And in this episode, the right justice was not rained down.
That's unfortunate. Hopefully, we will get the right justice. And this sister right here is pretty cool. I'm not too familiar with her. She is much more heavyset in the show than she is right here. That like her popping up in the show was my introduction. Like I've never seen her in anything else. This is the first time I've ever pulled her up on IMDb. But when you say that, and I was watching it, like when Bumpy was like, hey, why are you protecting this man? Don't you remember that he plotted to kill Malcolm? And he's like, he changed side. What type of redemption arc did Omar have for Elise to trust him? Because, you said their item right now. I mean, in my eye, at one point in time, he was a snake, a king cobra, sliding around on his belly. And that's just not somebody typically that, the normal person would want to marry and be with. But Elise is 10 toes down. So is she cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, or does she have a valid reason for wanting to support this guy that's an alleged murderer?
When you're dealing with a king cobra, B. Avery, what's something that can get them to calm down?
JJ?
No.
Money?
Music. Somebody playing a flute and nicely fluting their ass back into the little hole that they came out of. And so what happened with him was he met Elise and he actually hit it off with her. And then she started introducing him to the fact that there was people trying to undermine Malcolm in the nation. And he started doing his own digging and started seeing where some of the leadership was playing him, pretending like they was going to up him in the nation, pretending like Malcolm was this big bad guy. And eventually he saw that what Malcolm stood for was the right thing, a la Elise being there to bridge the gap. And that's what made the turnaround. And plus, the nation, they're religious. And under most religions, you're supposed to be having a forgiving heart. And that's one thing that sometimes worried me with religion, because it can be used to play people. But in this situation, dude did turn around.
I got it. Okay. So do you like Omar yourself right now? Or are you cheering for him? Are you rooting for him?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Go to jail, bro. Because if you would have seen the animosity this man had toward Malcolm, I mean, he just had bitter hatred from Malcolm, kind of like poor MAGA people hating on poor black people. He just wanted him dead. He wanted misery having company. He did not like Malcolm one bit. And so the way I didn't forgive him. Elise did, but I didn't. I didn't have to marry the MFer.
Okay. I like it. Because for me, man, if you betray me, you plotting to kill me, there's no redemption, for that right there. You got to save my life, and some for me to just be like, okay, we can be cordial now. Because I don't know. You can call me petty, bitter, but, once you cross that line, man, it's just kind of, you ever have a dog bite you? The relationship is just not the same afterwards. It's just not, And so that's I'm really eager and curious to see how that's going to play out. Lamont, we just got done talking about Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin in Daredevil, and I did not know that he was in this show too. His real name is Vincent D'Onofrio, and his name in the show is Vincent. So that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know he was in this show. He's a very good actor. I mean,
he's fantastic.
That goes without saying. You know that it's him, but he looks completely different than Kingpin. Still a boss, still has authority, but in a completely different way. And I liked it. I did. We can talk about the relationship that he had with Joe and his daughter, but I want to stick with him and Bumpy. First of all, I don't know much about Bumpy, but I love it. He's not taking no crap. Like, no, I don't want to deal with you. Towards the end of the episode, he's like, look, I had to deal with you mother effers all my life, not by choice, but now I want to do things my way. And you cannot get mad at him if you want, if everybody else can have ownership over whatever the hell they want, assets, black people can too, damn it. And don't try to make us feel guilty just because we want that. Oh, that's really racist. Well, call it what it is. Oh, I love to stand on business, man. And I don't know, Lamar. I don't think Bumpy can. He doesn't look like somebody that can defend himself. Maybe he can. I know he got that razor blade going on. I don't know. I don't know, Lamar. I ain't seen the show. I love the face. Okay, well, hey, you're getting me excited. You're getting me excited right there. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know. I mean, from first glance, he just don't seem like somebody that can, hold off three people in the alley.
Brother, let me put it to you like this, then I'll let you finish.
Okay.
That razor blade has its own name.
All right,
and it's not for cutting off beards, okay?
All right.
That razor blade has its own name.
Well, good. Damn it, I'm more eager to watch the show. And I'm just saying, he was standing on ground. He was just standing so strong and tall in that moment, as if Vincent would have swung on him right there, that he would have just, just knocked it out the way like he Neo or something. And I'm here to see it. Why would I not want to see a black man take out somebody else outside the group, or there's somebody trying to harm him? So I love that right there. Bumpy seems like a character I can respect, not just the main character that's a villain or antagonist, because he is not trying to, sell drugs in the community anymore. I'm very long-winded right now, but I say all that to say, Lamont, that it's really interesting to me how white people or Italian people or whoever the hell they are, they really feel some type of way when black people try to be self-sustaining and hold our own. Other outside groups are always trying to control us, manipulate us, or have their hand in the pie as well when we're doing, coming up. And their relationship, it seemed like they were cool, man, but they parting ways. What are your thoughts there? As this is not, I'm not asking, I'm telling you, okay, it's going to be 50-50, 60-40. How you feeling about all that in that exchange? What's going to happen in the future?
So let me get you up to speed on what's been going on with them. So Bumpy and Chin, that's his nickname, have been fighting for control of Harlem from season 1 pretty much till now. And in season 3, they made a pact because a bigger threat came into play that wanted to take them both out, and that was Joe Colombo.
Okay.
Colombo was feeling like Chin was an old dog that needed to start getting with new tricks. All right. So and Colombo is way more racist than Chin is, because Chin at the very least see how he can, neither one of these is good audience, but Chin sees how he can garner value from the Negras, and Joe Colombo don't care. He hate us so bad he don't even want to get no value out of us. So he's just like, F it. Yeah. And so the big thing came together. Bumpy came up with a plan last season that connected him and Chin together to get rid of Joe, that involved Stella, and they got Joe sent to jail, which what we thought was going to be for a long time, his ass get out in a year.
Yeah,
Fast forward into now. Okay. Fast forward into what's going on now. So now Chin is the type of dude that's like, you know what? I got me a black friend. And we tight like that. You know how white dudes want to say they got a black friend so they can say they're not racist. Yeah, so I got me a black friend, and I'm going to take care of this black friend, as you saw in the meeting that they had with the bosses when Joe said he wanted to kill Bumpy. You saw how Chin went off and was like, hell to the no. You're not killing him, and you're not killing me. And there was another scene in this episode where Pettigrew and Chance seen somebody that works with Chin selling drugs on their corner, and they apprehended him. Little Buddy was racist and said, do y'all know who my boss is? My boss is Vincent Chin, blah, blah, blah.
Let me ask you this. Let me jump in here and ask you this. About that particular scene right there, Chin or Vincent came over. Oh, he said, "Do you know who I am or what I work with?" And then Chin popped around the corner. "Oh, I'm so sorry, boss." And Chin shot him in the head. And then later on said, "I took out one of my guys to respect your streets, and so this is why I want to work with you." Do you feel that was a setup just so he can play that card later, or it was really a mistake by the guy that was selling drugs on Bumpy's corner? Does my question make sense?
It was both. It was both. It was a mistake to be on Bumpy's corner, and Chin was basically trying to show his loyalty to Bumpy for favors later on down the road to say, "Hey, we tight. You helped me out last season. I'm here helping you out, and we're gonna be in this thing together." He like I was saying, he respects Bumpy, but he also wants to be Bumpy because black people always got to do things 2 times better than white males, always. And he's seen how this man has a mind to do this business and a mind to get out of trouble, and so he wants to be connected to that. And that's what that was all about. And it even had it where Pettigrew and Chance found the drugs, and Bumpy needed the money because the bank is trying to take all his assets for his new real estate. And he was like, "No, we're going to give it back." And they gave it back. And Chin said, "You know what? You could have sold this. I would have never known it." That could have been a test, B. Avery. That could have been, because you don't lose that much doogie, as Bumpy would call it, and not know that it's gone missing. Especially when sense. You know it was right there with the guy. So I think that was a loyalty test on behalf of Chin to see what Bumpy would do.
How much? And he passed. He did. I like that.
Yeah, he passed.
Do you think that Bumpy knew that it was a test, or you think he just generally giving it back because he didn't want to have nothing to do with that? And also, how much money do you think that was worth? If they did break it down in 5 parts and sell it, how much do you think they could have got with that?
Oh, they probably could have got about $300,000. And this season, Bumpy is committed to fulfilling the dream that not only Malcolm wanted him to do, he's inspired by that, but he's motivated by his wife wanting him to get out of the business. So he's got an inspiration in Malcolm, and he's got a motivation in his wife to get out this game, and he's trying to stick to it.
Okay. Let me ask you this. This Joe Colombo, that's his name, correct? The guy, and he showed up at the dinner. "Hey, I'm out of prison. Y'all trying to lock me out," and he was having negotiations with Chin's daughter as well.
Right.
Who has more power? Is it Colombo or Chin? I would imagine it's Chin, since Colombo is going to him. Has it always been that way, or has it shifted throughout the show?
No, it's always been that way. See, Joe Colombo just popped up like last season, and he was trying to take the place of Chin. And for a minute there was doing it until, Chin was able to show them how he was trying to conspire and go against the other bosses and the other families. And, they all came together to help with the plan that he pulled off with Bumpy to get rid of him. And so now he's back. He wants to try to get back to work. You see, he was just trying to disrespect Chin in front of the families, but they've all learned that dude is a hothead. He think he's a know-it-all, and he doesn't know that much.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I did not know that Whoopi Goldberg was in the show either. I forgot she was an actress.
And she's a producer.
Oh, really? Okay.
She's a producer. Forrest Whitaker's a producer. Swiss Beats is a producer. Timberland is a producer. Rick Ross is a producer. And I be trying to get up with all of them so they can help put together my black-based story, and I can't never get a hand on none of them.
Did you drop a trailer for that earlier today? I think I saw Black Justice, or am I,
No, okay. I didn't.
Okay, I'll stay on topic. Yeah, I like Whoopi more on her television and film content than on The View, but maybe a lot of people feel that way. But she was good in this. It was a nice surprise to me. I did like her. While I was watching this, I'm really interested in seeing how the relationship is going to flourish, if at all, between Joe Colombo and Chin's daughter. It seems like they have a past. I could be wrong. What you laughing at?
They do have a past. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, she seduced him last season. Now, the thing you got to understand about little Stella that
Mm-hmm.
makes the story so interesting, in the first 2 seasons, Stella had that sweet tooth. And when I say she had the sweet tooth, what am I talking about, B. Avery?
I think you're talking about the Negress.
She had a little taste for that chocolate. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Now, you know, them Italians racist as hell. So
Yeah.
her daddy wasn't having it. And eventually, the one black dude she really was into and about to go away with that was talented at singing, they killed him. And she basically was
Mm.
depressed, stressed, and she made a comeback last season and she started figuring out that she has the power of panty draws. But the other thing about Stella is she also has the power of the mind and she has the power of the biggest boss at that table. So
Okay.
she's realizing she's got control of all of this. So now she's going to make Joe Colombo, who she had a couple of interactions with, work for what he wants.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask
Actress
you.
name is Lucy Fry, ladies and gentlemen. Lucy
Yeah.
Fry.
Yeah. Here she go right here, Miss Stella Gigante. You know, at first glance, I thought this was Margot Robbie. I was like, oh, I didn't know she was in
I
the show,
know
but
everybody think that be like they
okay,
first
okay,
and I contend she got a beat.
okay, okay. Yeah.
I own record saying it right now. I stand on it 10 toes.
Oh, she okay, 92. She's of age. I like the overall she got on in that picture. I haven't seen a woman in
Mm-hmm.
overalls. It's been a while, but that's a good look. That's all I'm gonna say. What questions do you have for me, a newcomer that's just kind of diving in without seeing the first 3 seasons? I think that was her in the flashback that also shot somebody in the back of the head, but I could be wrong. It could have been somebody else.
No,
But
you're
yeah,
right.
okay.
You're right.
What questions do you have for me that I may be missing out on that we can talk about here,
Um,
as far as this episode is
in turn,
concerned?
okay. In terms of what she's gonna be doing with Joe Colombo, talking about Stella, do you understand the way she positioned herself to basically undercut her daddy, all while keeping Joe Colombo at bay?
Uh, no, I did not. But the way that you pose that question now, I do in that instance, because I'm assuming that her dad is not going to know about this. That she's doing this on her own to try to come up in the world because she wants more responsibility. Am I in the right ballpark there or no?
Well, her dad, she set up the meeting for Joe. And did you catch how Joe was planning to kill her daddy? And I love how Stella pulled out that gun and said, the best way to hurt my daddy is you hurt me. And Joe could not do it because he still got feelings for he is addicted to the panty draws.
Mm. So
She is gonna be getting drugs from her daddy and brokering those drugs to Joe Colombo, but she wants to get a cut, and she's not
uh
going to tell her daddy about the cut she's taking to broker to Joe Colombo.
Okay, yeah, I got that part. Who was the assassin? Was it the bartender or the bus boy? Because she asked that question. What was that about? Or am I
So
misunderstanding?
she was trying to. So the person walking to work, he was the waiter. And that's who and one of Joe Colombo guys killed the waiter, and so the waiter was supposed to gonna
Oh,
take Chin order and then off him, but it didn't
gotcha.
happen that way. He
Because he
he
wasn't
didn't
there.
give him that type of haircut. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha, gotcha.
and and Stella, man, she is pulling all the strings right now. I'm boy, and her daddy last season to save Stella, the daddy went to jail and pretended like he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs so that he wouldn't have to go to the real jail. They put him in the psychiatric unit, and there he continued to pretend like he was crazy because back in them days, if you was a white man and you pretended like you was crazy, or if you really was crazy, they ain't put you in jail. They put you in a straitjacket and give you pills and stuff like that. And a lot of these goons who were gangsters pretended like they was crazy so that number one, they wouldn't go to jail. Then number two, they get a SSI check for disability.
Right on. We're gonna be talking about SSI checks in the next recap. We're gonna be discussing Good
Oh
American
yeah.
Family. That's crazy. In your opinion, is Bumpy making the right decision by not selling the drugs in this community? Because he needs this money, this capital to expand Harlem. So do you agree with him not selling drugs, or should he still be moving weight?
No, I agree that he shouldn't be selling drugs at this point, because he's already made enough money that his legit businesses are established. And at some point in time, you want to step away from it because it's dangerous. But the problem always with drugs is it's hard to step away because unless you are the supplier, someone else is always making money off of you and they don't want you to go. Or if you do try to go, you're on the run the rest of your life. But Bumpy's at a position where he can step away. And I admire that he's trying to do it, and he's trying to do it the legit way. But again, this show shows you just why it's so easy for people to do illegal things to make money, because it's easier. It's easier. You're not reporting taxes. You're not regulated. And I'm not saying it's right, because I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the system that oppresses us, called capitalism, needs to be revamped so that people don't have to give up their children, their children's college funds, and all their property just to acquire a property that can make them money.
I like it, Lamont. I'm glad you talked me into doing this show with you. So with this being season 4, episode 1, I know it's just the first episode. Is this season starting off strong for you? I don't think you would be here if you didn't like the show. You're like, all right, this is a great start. This is as good as what we got in the past, or it's kind of so-so. Like, where are you at as far as that's concerned?
It's a little better than so-so. It's not supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but I always measure things 0 to 10, 0 being horrible, 10 being the best. I'll give this about a 7.
Okay.
And Godfather of Harlem can be a slow but good burn. There are slow burns that are boring. This is a slow but good burn, especially if you're interested in what life was like during the civil rights era for Black people and for drug dealers, and their motivations for selling drugs versus the motivations of this new age drug dealer.
Right on. So, Lamont, I love it, man. I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you about this. Do you have any final thoughts, or was those your final thoughts right there?
That is my final thought, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy it, get the culture, understand what it was like for us, because this show does a good job of letting you know what life was like for African Americans during that era, the double standards that still exist to this day that all of our grandfathers and people in that era fought so that we wouldn't have to deal with, and why American capitalism is triggered and leans toward the Anglo-Saxon Christian nationalist white male.
This is true. This is true. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to wrap it up for me and Lamont's recap for Godfather of Harlem, season 4, episode 1, titled New Harlem. We will be here hopefully on time for episode 2. And like I said, we're going to have our recap up and uploaded to premiere right after the show ends for episode 2. So y'all can watch episode 2 and then watch our recap. I won't be caught up by episode 2, but maybe by episode 3, I'll be caught up and we can really get into the nitty gritty. But until then, I want you to subscribe to Lamont's channel. I'm pretty sure he will really appreciate that. He has recaps on his channel as well, does lives for Power, Raising Canaan, and also Godfather of Harlem too, with a whole other group of guests. So subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to my channel as well. I would really appreciate it, because I have a review on my channel for Sinners, which is a great movie with Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. Make sure you check that out. Again, I would really, really appreciate it. But guys, again, hold on. Check out our Daredevil recaps as well, and also our recaps on Good American Family. I don't have the images to pull up, but it's on our channel. So check all that out. Check all that out. But guys, we just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's Lamont. And that's just our opinion. Peace out. And we'll see you next time. Subscribe. 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 Subscribe.